then. As we may or may not know, Mr. Hunter will not be here today. Steve is the assistant city manager, and he's stepping up in that place. But good afternoon to everyone. It's good to see everyone, and trust everyone had a great weekend. And at this time, I would like to call the meeting to order. As we all know, this is a work session. No actions is ever taken here. We're getting in preparation for tomorrow council meeting, which will be at 9, and we'll mention that later on. So with that being said, at this time, I am calling the meeting to order, and we would like to call on Councilwoman Johnson, to lead us with the invocation, please.
Thank you, Mayor. May we pray. Lord, we thank you for your presence at this very hour. Thank you for being a God of justice and mercy. We thank you for this opportunity to serve the people of our great city. Guide our hearts and our minds, oh Lord, to be the leaders of your people needs. As the fear of this coronavirus grips and somewhat takes over our country, Father, we ask that you would just give us love, saturate our hearts with love and kindness so that we in turn can do the same for our fellow member. Lord, heal our nation. Those essential workers that take the risk of going out there every day so that we may remain safer at home. Lord, we pray for those. We pray for those that continue to look over one another. And Lord, we ask you to continue to look over our people, our great city workers, city servicemen, our governorship and our statesmen and our local officials, Father God. Just continue to watch over us as we continue to conduct the business of Phenix City. Lord, we ask that you would just remove anything that is not of your doing and give us the will to do give us the power to do your will, oh Lord, as we continue to do the business of Phenix City. We ask these blessings among many in your holy and precious Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson.
You're welcome.
As we see, we have no one who wants to request the council. And with this, at this time, Angel, I'd like to call on you for the April 28, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. Angel?
Yes, sir. We had several items on the Planning Commission agenda. The first item was a waiver request for Evans Crossing Subdivision, Evans Road Development, LLC. This waiver request is for the subdivision is located mostly in the Phenix City utility jurisdiction, but it was 4 lots that was located in Smith's utility jurisdiction. The developer requested through Smith's utility jurisdiction to allow Phenix City to serve those 4 lots with our utilities. Smith's Water and Sewer were fine with that. We have an email from them saying that they are acquiescing that to us, and that waiver was approved by Planning Commission. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Is that the lots they plan on doing 20 lots, if I recall correct from reading, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. I saw where it had up to 19 lots. 4 of those, I know four of those was the ones that really bringing on this waiver, but I only saw 19 in there.
19 on the preliminary plat?
Yes, in the package I looked at, but I could have overlooked it. But it is going to be 20, what I'm asking.
Yes, sir. That's what they are planning.
Do we need to have that corrected in the notes, just to just to protect us, whatever reason it may be, some protection?
Yes, sir. I can get that corrected in the minutes.
Okay.
And then the next agenda the next item on the agenda was the actual approval and public hearing for the preliminary plat for Evans Road. It's located at the intersection of Lee Road 219 and 213. It's just in the planning jurisdiction. It's not located inside the city limits. So, but this is the one that would be served fully by Phenix City Water and Sewer. So we did not have anyone call in for the public hearing, and that was approved by Planning Commission.
Ms. Angel, may I ask to go back to the waiver requesting of those lots, just so that I can understand, and if I get any calls on it, the waiver to request to allow part of, it say lot 16, is it just part of lot 16 or part of lot 16 through 19?
It's just part of lot 16 because lot 16, half of it was already in our utility jurisdiction.
Okay.
And the other half of it was in Smith. So that was just part of 16, but all of 17, 18, and 19.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask a question, if I may, please. Once all parties have agreed on this project and sign off on it, going forward, we don't have to go back through this process. Is that right?
You're talking about for the utility jurisdiction for those 4 lots?
Yes, ma'am.
No, sir, we shouldn't have to go because it's been documented with Smith Station and with
Okay.
our utilities department.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And the next item on the agenda was the public hearing and amending the zoning ordinance. That was for the signs and outdoor advertising. Gil, that was approved by Planning Commission. We didn't have anyone to call in for the public hearing, and Gil will be able to give y'all any more information about that. I do believe it's on the agenda for y'all to look at today.
That is correct.
Any
Any
questions
question?
regarding that item?
Council, any questions at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay.
So
This
the
is
last
more?
thing we had on the agenda was a public hearing and an approval of agreement to clarify the subdivision review and approval process in the municipal planning jurisdictions of the city of Phenix City, Alabama in Lee County. That was the same agreement that we spoke about at the last work session. We had a public hearing. No one called in regarding that, and Planning Commission did approve to enter that agreement. It is on your agenda also. The City Council will have to approve the same agreement along with the Lee County Commission.
Okay. Any question, Council?
Yeah, let me ask this question, if I may, please. Once we get this project completed and we realize it's in Lee County and Smith Station, the city of Smith Station, will there be any sharing of the revenues?
No, sir, this agreement is just allowing us to do our planning services in our jurisdiction in Lee County. We aren't allowed to go inside the city limits of Smith Station.
Okay, okay. Well, would there be any sharing of the revenue with Lee County?
Mr. Smith?
No, it doesn't affect the revenue at all. It's just the state changed the law and they require that we now have a written agreement in order to make it clear who has the planning authority over various areas. And this doesn't change what we've already been doing. We've been doing it this way for a long time. This just brings us into compliance with the new state regulations.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Angel. Thanks,
Yes,
Steve.
sir.
Is this
Any
the
other
same
questions?
agreement? Ed, is this the same agreement that we would have with Russell County, basically?
Yes, sir. I'm sure their attorneys would want to review it because this is what was come up between our attorneys and Lee County's. But we would need something similar to this. But we can still operate within our planning jurisdiction. It's just if the county doesn't have an agreement with the city to do this, it sort of puts more of a burden on the county to do the same type of stuff that we're doing in our planning jurisdiction.
Okay.
Yeah, and Angel, correct me, or Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but when this was approved through legislators in 2012, that kind of put us where they have to comply and has to bring everything to us to agree upon whether they are in compliance. So does that supersede even if we didn't have a written agreement?
The law says that we have to, and so that's what we're just trying to do. I think it probably was some kind of disagreement between the city and the county somewhere in the state that they were fighting over this issue, and the state legislature just wanted to make it clear of just exactly who had planning jurisdiction in the planning areas around the various cities, And so what they just did is adjust the state legislation so that that the agreement would be in writing for everybody to see. It makes it easier on the developers, and it really makes it easier on the county, because then they're not having to duplicate a lot of what the city is already doing.
But in the event that they do not do an agreement with us, the law does supersede. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comment? Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Angel.
Yes, sir.
Proceeding on, City Clerk, Melanie, the May and June calendars and upcoming board appointments. Melanie?
Yes, sir. Looking at May 2020, of course, tomorrow we have our council meeting at 9 a.m. That'll be on Zoom. Then looking on down the calendar, of course, y'all remember the 16th through the 19th, the League of Municipalities Convention has been postponed. And then our council meeting, we have a work session at 3 p.m. on the 18th, and then we have a council meeting at 9 a.m. on the 19th. That council meeting is actually, you're going to need to meet in person because of warrants, the school warrant and the city warrant that needs to be looked at, and the attorneys say that y'all have to meet in person. I believe the governor may come down with some kind of safer at home. I don't know what kind of ruling around the 15th. I don't know how that'll affect our 19th meeting, but as it stands right now, we're going to try to move it to the Martin Idlehour Park Community Center, where there's more room, where everyone can be spaced out 6 feet apart, and taking every precaution that we can to have this meeting in person that y'all need to have to look at these warrants. And I know if y'all have any questions on that, Steve can answer those.
Yeah, the attorneys that do our warrant issue, our debt service, are telling us that you cannot pass that ordinance via Zoom. It has to be an in-person meeting. And as you know, we're refinancing some water and sewer warrants where we anticipate about $3,500,000 in savings to the city. So this is an important something that we need to do. Also, at the same time, the school system is refinancing some of their debt. And it's old debt that the city was previously had pledged the general obligation pledge behind. So we need to agree to allow them to refinance that debt. And this will take that school debt off of the city's books. So it's good for us, and it's the city that gives the school system the ability to manage their own finances and their own debt without having to come to us. So the two issues both will be beneficial to the city. The one of them saving the city about $3.5 million. And then the other one, it would reduce our overall debt that we're from our general fund standpoint. So it's two very important ordinances that we need to pass. And according to the attorneys, both for the school and the city, we cannot do that over Zoom. We have to have an in-person meeting to pass those ordinances.
Well, also, Steve, it also will save the school system quite a bit of money as well. Is that right?
Yes, it will. I don't have the numbers from the school system to know exactly how much savings, but it will. But it would amount to a very considerable savings to the school system.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Melanie, anything else?
Yes, so we're just going to finish up the calendar. We have a Memorial Day holiday on May the 25th. Looking into June, of course, we have a work session on the 1st and a council meeting on June 2nd. There is a public meeting scheduled on Thursday, June the 11th at 4 p.m. at the Martin Idlehour Community Center for two purposes. One, to discuss the clean water, and another to discuss the drinking water revolving fund loan applications. This is just a public meeting to get citizens' input if they had any questions about these two revolving fund loan applications. Once again, if y'all have any questions, I think Steve can answer those for y'all.
Yes, these are the 5 capital improvements that we started the process on at the last meeting with Constantine Engineering. In order to go through the state revolving fund for funding of these projects, you have to have a public hearing. You give the public an opportunity to have input into it. This will be a place where we have the engineers will be present. We'll have maps and other data there so that any citizen can come by and see exactly what the city is doing and make a comment on it. It's not a city council meeting. It's not required that you be there, but you're certainly welcome to, to come by and see what we're presenting to the citizens.
Okay, Melanie, what time is that?
4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
On the 11th?
Yes, sir, on Thursday, June the 11th. And the reason why that's pushed out is we have to run the public notices in the paper for 4 weeks
Exactly.
before they can have the public hearing, and we have to run it in 2 state papers. The only other items on the June calendar, of course, is June the 15th work session, June the 16th council meeting. That is the meeting we've got set up right now at 6 p.m. at the Central Activities Center, the one that we normally have that, rotates around. And I know on your calendar, we also had the mayor's ball down for June the 20th, but I believe, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, that may have been canceled.
Yeah, we're tentative looking at another date at this time, but that's still up in the air, and that's depends on how this thing ebb and flow. Yes.
Okay. The only other thing is there's an upcoming board, industrial development board in June, for 2 people that are on that board. One person would like to serve again, but one person is not willing to serve again. So y'all may need to be looking at someone for that board on in June. And that's all I have if anyone didn't have any questions.
Any question, council?
Yes, sir. Miss Melanie, the council meeting in June 16th. Do we foresee having that in person, or will it be, and I guess this is a question for us all, really, because typically when we have the district meeting, I tend to consult with my constituents and want to invite them to try to make sure that any updates or any things that been going on in District 2, always let them know what's going on in District 2. So I would know how to, I guess, gauge whether or not I'll be doing that based on whether or not we will have an in-person meeting. So I guess that's something we probably need to look at.
And Ms. Johnson, I think we'll probably know a little bit more after May the 15th, when the governor, I guess, reassesses everything and gives us more direction. It looks like to me, and then somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like to me she's gauging it by every 2 weeks and looking at, I guess, our numbers in the state and deciding from that point, what she can relax on or what we need to tighten up on. And I mean, the only thing I can say is from that point to now, we'll just travel on and try to assume that maybe things will be back to normal by then or close to it. Where we go ahead and send out the public notices and, set things up. And then if we need to do it by Zoom, then we will, we'll send something out, for that. And I guess we'll just roll on the best way we can.
Okay, and that's fair enough. We can't predict the future, but I also may be looking at an alternative if we're not going to have an in-person meeting, how I would get the information about what's happening in District 2 to my constituents, whether it be a form of advertisement or something. So I'll also be looking at a way that I can get this information to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's it, Melanie?
Yes, sir. That was all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Proceeding on, council, under the city manager is the monthly department reports, and I will ask, for the sake of time, if there's anything need to be asked for each department head, I will ask that we would do that now. And any other question that may occur for the sake of tomorrow as far as time, but any specific question to any of the department heads, and at this time, I can start asking individually. Arthur, I'm gonna start with you first since you typically have a lot of questions.
Okay, I would like to ask the HR director something. Okay, I noticed, okay, the application process for 43 applicants. Okay, and the position they were processed for is 3 positions. You had 3 positions open. Is that right?
No, sir, that's the number of positions we interviewed. We have quite a few more positions open, but those were the ones we were able to do Zoom interviews in the month of April.
But if I look over here where you said new hires, you haven't hired anybody over there. Is that right?
We hired 6 full-time employees in April.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay. My fault. Excuse me. Okay. Park and Rec. So I'm aware all the parks been closed except the walking trail, nature trail and Riverwalk. I'm aware of that. I'd like to say to Todd, can you update me on the Austin Summary Park on that provision down there? I'm aware that the insurance has already paid off. Are we doing any work down there at that provision yet?
Yeah, so they're actually putting the new roof on this week.
Sir?
They're putting the new roof on there this week. The 10's going on this week.
Great.
Okay, thank you. I passed by there on yesterday. After I left church, I noticed the gate was closed. I couldn't go down through there, brother. Okay. Yes. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, police department. Chief, you have a total of 169 traffic crashes, 33 was injured. I mean, that's not normal here in our city, is it? 169 traffic crashes.
That's about average.
Really?
Yes, sir. We average quite a few accidents per day. We average on a 24-hour period anywhere from 15 to 25 accidents, and about half of those involving personal injury.
Wow. And I know you're still in need of officers. You hired what? Let's see what it says here. What you had 3 police officers, 1 clerk. Is that right?
We did.
Okay. Utility department. I noticed. Well, I'm gonna tell you what happened. Actually, somehow I ran into Father Tom down on Mother Mary Mission down there. It says we relocated the outfall. What is that outfall?
That's the sewer main that drains that area, Mr. Day. The bank on that creek had washed out, and it took a portion of our sewer line with it, and it took the sewer line that crosses that creek out with it, and we had to go in on an emergency basis and reroute that line. Mr. Bickerstaff, who owns the property, was very good to work with us and allow us to come in there and change the easement that we had down through there so that we could reroute that line. I'd like to express public appreciation for him to working with us on that. But yes, that's a main sewer line that serves that area, goes down through there along that creek, and a portion of the creek bank had washed out and taken our sewer line with it, and we had to reroute it and move it away from the creek a little bit so that it would be safer.
I know Father Tom mentioned about his garden down there, but you all came back and I think did some work on it as well. And I think he was very pleased with what went on down there. Okay, our building department. I know we had at the bottom of the page 2, that was 2 permit, the value at $122,000.
Yes.
And the permit fee charge was $865. Now the $865, that's what paid down on that. That's the
no, that was our actual permit fee that we charged. Okay.
Okay.
And the 57,000 and the 65,000. That's what each permit was for. That's down there at Altera for a beauty shop and a barber shop, two different shops.
Okay.
And this was for the interior build out.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Engineer and proper work. Give me an update on the 431 College Park Drive traffic signal. I understand that Alabama Power has already connected power. That we're waiting on ADOT. We're waiting on them to have the final say so. Is that right?
You're talking about the traffic signal there, Mr. Day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's fully connected and operational. It's been tested. Aldot's not going to let us turn it on until the grocery store is ready to open.
So they have the final say so.
Yeah.
They're going to do a traffic count down there as well?
That's already been done, and that's what the basis of what Aldot's position is that the grocery store has to open in order for it to justify We've also, I think we've informed the council, we've got a Safeway convenience store and gas station going in right there on the corner. And then, of course, you just heard the 2 new businesses that are going into the strip center. We've got Marco's Pizza that's well underway with their construction. So you've got 3 businesses that are in the process of doing their internal build out to open in the little strip center that's there. And of course, the grocery store is ready. They're just having trouble getting merchandise to fill the store because of the pandemic. As soon as they can rectify that situation, they'll be opening, and that's when we'll be able to turn the traffic light on.
Okay. Now, one of the gas stations going down on the south side of the building, that shopping center?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the name of that station? Is it Track or something like that, isn't it? Racetrack?
That's the one up by isn't that 5th Street South, Angel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Racetrack is going in there at 5th Street South, and then Safeway is going in down on the Alteria project.
So we have at least 2 down in that area near each other.
Yes.
Okay.
From what I understand, Steve, is they're trying to keep that one at the Crossman's property still up under wraps. They don't want that name out yet.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So what about the other one? Are we at liberty, not that we would do it just to be talking about it? We still not at liberty to mention this out publicly, are we?
No, they don't. They haven't announced made a public announcement yet. And most of them,
Okay.
they prefer them make that first public announcement.
So we need to remain with confidentiality on that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
On which one? On which one, Mayor?
On both.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me say this too. I think we got lucky. Safeway, I don't believe the name of the one that Steve mentioned. I think he misspoke. So it's still not quite in the public yet. So I think we got lucky on that one. But it does need to remain confidential. Once we can reveal that, we'll tell you guys.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank you very much. Thank you for reminding me of that. We're excited about what's going on. Let me say this to public work as well. I've gotten a lot of feedback down there. I'm not going to call the area that what he's paving the whole area down. I got a lot of positive feedback. Folks, the citizens are excited down there in that certain not shopping center, but certain neighborhood down there. I'm not going to call the name, but they're saying they were excited. I'm sure y'all have seen, they have called certain folks here in the city and thanked them what they're doing down there. So that's positive coming out of South Phoenix City.
Thank you.
Okay. What other thing here? Now, could you update me on the DHR building right there on the old Overlocker Road? Somebody asked me what kind of building what's going in. I had to elaborate. Could you give me an update on that? Is that a time frame on that?
Gil, you may have a better idea about the building construction because that's all going to sort of dictate how the site work comes together.
Right. Their construction, of course, is ongoing, and we actually have a building down there. It's not, they hadn't put an exterior skin or interior on it yet. And I don't have a completion date, but they're hard at work on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Now, first of all, I must say this. I know we are not, we don't have any due diligence involved in the school system when they do a multi-purpose building. Did the city involved, what part does the city play into the multi-purpose building out at Ridgecrest?
We just have reviewed the plans, Mr. Dale, like we would normally review anything else and just make sure that they meet any of our access requirements with fire code or engineering to determine about how, or we see runoff problems or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering, I read that. Okay. Will you update me on the 50 South project? I know I ask this just about every time. I know the weather set us back for, can you, I'm not going to ask for a forecast date because the weather plays an important part in this as well.
Yes, sir. And with the contractors out there now, currently we're trying to finish up installing the curb and gutter and the sidewalk. We've got to do some driveway work out there due to some steep slopes, but we're working through that with the contractor now. But once we can get the driveways in and the curb and gutter and the sidewalk, the work will start progressing quicker. We did have a setback from the coronavirus. We had the concrete crew that was quarantined for 14 days.
Wow.
We have 2 crews out there today, and we are trying to wrap that project on up.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I noticed this down on 431, right there by the hotels. I know barrels and everything is sitting there. Will you update me on that? I know the DOT on the highway and all that stuff, but what's been happening right along there? 431, I mean 421 and 431. That's what it says.
What number is that, Mr. Day?
The 421 and 431 bypass south.
Is that that's on my list?
If you go down right there, all those barrels sitting out there, right along in there on the other side. They put the widen that road. I know it's DOT project.
They are about to do a resurfacing project out there, so that's probably what those barrels are out there for. So, and right now they're planning on doing it during the day because of the coronavirus. But if traffic picks up, they will start doing night resurfacing.
Okay, my last question. Fauci, I know during this 19, how's our emergency personnel holding up, Chief Kennedy? I mean, Chris, I'm sorry.
You're fine. You kind of broke up. I didn't know you were talking to me. We're doing good.
Okay.
We're still
I was just
responding.
wondering.
Sir?
Yeah, I was just wondering because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, we're still responding to calls and protecting our folks as best we can, and still doing our job, but we're all right.
Okay, Mal, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Griff, do you have anything?
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, I do. I'm just glad there's 2 service stations going down there by Arthur because he sure does a lot of riding. He's going to need to buy a bunch of gas. He gets all over the city. He's in Vicky's area, my area, and his area.
That's right.
He's on the couch. When you're on the couch, you represent the whole city.
You're right. You're right. That's what I do.
Right. Anything, I only have 2. Both of them will be for engineering. The first one I have mentioned to Angel one time before. Traffic light. Is there a traffic light problem or anything that we're aware of out there where the road is closed at the old Opelika Road and the Stafford Road in front of Castle Fuels and Freedom Fuels? Has anybody complained to us about anything?
No, sir, we haven't received any more complaints. I know after you talked to me about it, we did call Russell County to see if they could go out there and check it. I haven't had any other complaints. Are you still getting complaints?
The same person again that has the Castle. I mean, excuse me, the Freedom Fuels just telling me that the cars are. He doesn't think there's enough time for them to come off the Stafford Road to go straight across towards the bypass and vice versa in the afternoon. So I told him I would bring that up, and maybe the county could watch it and monitor it a little bit better. But I have not personally had anybody else to call. No.
Okay.
That's the only one. So I don't really know that there is a problem, but and I don't think there is my own self. So I just want to make sure we stay on top of that in case one does develop. He just felt like he thought the green light was a little too long coming from Mr. Johnny Dudley's direction where the bridge is being built going. I guess that'd be going west, I guess. And then, coming from the Smith Station High School direction, that they didn't need to be as green as long coming those 2 directions is going the other way. And he's probably right, but I don't know that there is a problem, though.
Yes, sir.
The only other thing I have is real quick. Is up in Saddlebrook. I rode through that the other day. I went down there and sucked a little gas out of the office truck where I could do a little riding. And went up to Saddlebrook and noticed that we kind of got that on hold on that lot that's draining the water. When are we going to get back on that? And did the design just not look right, or was it not right? Or did the neighborhood say something?
well, we put in the rock, and of course, the neighborhood did not like it. It was large rock, and I don't think, people was expecting it to look like that. So we already have our design. Our contractor has already ordered the custom-made inlet boxes. We are waiting for them. We've got the pipe on the public works yard now. We are having to wait for Alabama Power to move their line, and they were on schedule to do that a couple of weeks ago. Then we had those storms come in, and of course, Alabama Power got pulled to go down there and get power back to the storm victims. So that's why we've been pushed back on that line. So as soon as I can get Alabama Power out there to do that, our contractor will be on ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't had any complaints from anybody in that neighborhood. I just happened to ride through there, and you can tell that we put it on hold like you had already told us.
Yes,
and
sir.
I was just wondering, about the original design, if we didn't like it, the neighbors didn't like it, or, just what the deal was, where if anybody does say something, I now have the information that I need to tell them, why we haven't proceeded further. And that's perfectly understanding about the power company and the emergency needs that other people had to have power at their house rather than lines being moved. So that's the only two things I had. I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Vicky?
Okay, just a couple of comments. First, Mayor, got a few calls from some of my constituents in District 2. Want to thank the Council and Mayor, city personnel about the positive message that they were seeing. So they really appreciate that. It shows that, again, like I said, we're in this together. So they just wanted me to kind of make note of that. And I wanted to just let you all know that they appreciate that. So they expressed their gratitude. And as far as you giving the updates, they want me to tell you thank you for giving those updates on cable news as well. This is kind of old business, if I may. Ms. Melanie, I understand we got the feedback, and it's been, a little bit over 3 weeks ago. You got back with us in response to the ordinance on the healthcare insurance for council, and I think I had brought that up some time ago, and we got the email back on that. But I have since reached out to the Alabama League to see if I could just kind of get a feel how other councils, are they doing that or not? I was just letting you know. And then hopefully we can come back and revisit this and maybe amend the ordinance. But I just want you to know it's just something that I'm taking upon myself to look into. And I think, like I said, coming in, I thought it was a need for it, for people that be in a position such as myself and those that may be interested in seeking out public office, that they be assured that they can have health care, which is so important in this day and age. So I just want you to know that I'll be coming back with some information as I get information on that, and see if, as a council, collectively, if we'll be willing to amend this ordinance and see what we can do if possible. We may not can do anything, but again, we want to make sure we're following that the charter in regards to this ordinance. So just want you to be aware of that. And I just have 3 questions about the reports. May I ask for any type of update on the Ladonia commercial site? How is that going? What prospective retail can we see in that area once again?
I can go over the site work, and then I guess Sean and Steve can go over the economic development part. They are approaching finishing down their curb and gutter. They are doing the water line installation. Utilities is actually partnered with them, the developer there, to do some training and install and insert a valve for that water line. So that was a win-win situation for us and the developer. And they are getting close to wanting a final plat approved. So once we can get a final plat approved, then they will be able to subdivide those lots and hopefully get them out for commercial property.
Okay.
I'll speak about the retail side of things. They're still in the process, Ms. Johnson, of recruiting some of the tenants. And nothing's really changed about their approach. Really what they're looking to have is 2 or 3 different probably fast food users on that frontage. And then some more neighborhood-centric type retail in the back. And that really hasn't changed. We're not at a point really where we can reveal specifics about it, but we're working towards those different tenants now.
Okay. And I'll just, we got a lot of traffic that's going through Highway 80. So I'm always, whether it's in person or by phone call, just asking, so what is it going to be? When? So I just say, same thing. We just got to wait and see. We do have, we're just so excited about the growth of Phenix City. So once we know that information and it becomes public information, then we'll let them know. So thank you for that.
For sure. And I will mention this too. So Ladonia has seen extreme amounts of interest over the past couple years. And so this development is certainly not unusual because of that. So I think we'll see some good stuff there. It's just a matter of time. And what we've also experienced a slowdown because of the coronavirus too. You've had retailers that have had to kind of readjust their outlook and try to figure out what they can and can't do. I think as soon as things begin to loosen up, we'll see that those floodgates open up again. But really, people have just kind of gone quiet temporarily.
Right. Understandable. Thank you. With the building department, at first I had thought we had a new subdivision coming. I know we had a number of permits for single family dwellings, and we generated quite a bit of revenue from that. So it's not a new subdivision. It was just 4 permits, 4 single family homes with a valuation of over $631,000. What part, if you can disclose that information, what part of the city is this happening?
Gil, are you there?
With the building department.
The 4 permits.
Yeah, we got 4 permits. They're out there. If you go out 280 towards Shadowwood and take a right on Landmark Road, they're back in there in a subdivision.
Oh, okay.
And I think this 520 Jefferson Road, that's not in that subdivision, it's somewhere else.
Okay.
And I can't tell you exactly where that is, okay?
Okay. As far as permits, let me ask you, Gia, so that I'll just understand a little bit better. So they have to pull a permit for framing, plumbing, electrical, all those have to be separate permit, or is it just one big permit for a new structure?
Those are separate permits. That we got a permit for the structure and one for plumbing, one for heating and air, one for electrical. If there's any gas in the house, there's one for gas. So all those major crafts get their own permit.
Right. Okay. I wanted to make sure I understood that.
That way we can regulate what kind of license. These people have to be licensed by the state and also licensed by Phenix City, and we can verify that license.
Yes, sir. So let me ask you also, depending on what type of construction it is or parts of a construction, if someone gets a city license, do they have to get one from the county as well?
Yes, if they're the license, yes. Permit, no.
The business license,
Yes, they have to be licensed by, if they're in Russell County, they have to be licensed by Russell County and the state of Alabama, and they get that through Russell County's office.
Okay. Yeah, I had a call about that and I didn't know. Okay, thank you for that information as well. I do see where I think this project has been completed, Ms. Angel, Auburn Road and Highway 80 traffic signal upgrade. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, ma'am. The new steel poles have been installed and the new signal heads have been strung. It has been completed. AlDOT has signed off on it.
Okay, I was under the impression that we was getting the nice black poles, well, not that the chrome ones are not as nice, but I thought it was just like the real black, copperhead type deal with the traffic light. So it wasn't that.
No, ma'am. We actually
got what we were asking for.
Some existing poles that we had that were taken down during the Crawford Road construction, and those are the ones that AlDOT wanted us to go back with, not the timber ones.
Okay. Hats off to the library department. The space maker sewing, and you're going to be making cloth masks to be used at reopening, something that we all would need for whomever knows how long. So thank you, Michelle and your team, for thinking about the future. And I don't know, are you gonna just be giving them out, or are you gonna sell them, or how
Well, we're certainly not going to sell them. We're just kind of using the materials we have. So some of them are a little bit rough because we haven't been going out and buying anything, but we're kind of using just so we have some extra, and some of the staff have taken them so they can wear them, you know, when they go out too. So wherever we can use them, we hope to have some available.
Well, I tell you what, now we do, I ran across a couple of people, to include myself. I'm interested in knowing how to make them. So is that something you'll probably be offering that when we reopen the library, or can we look at that?
We're making very rude ones. I mean, they're not very fancy. There's just a square of fabric, and we just put some hems in them and run some ties through them. But I could send you our patterns if you want me to.
Okay, yeah, if we got the pattern, we got the template, and we can do it, you know. So,
okay, well, I will do that. I will do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And I think that is it, Mayor. That's all I had. And
Okay.
Mayor,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
may I ask one more, please?
Yes, sir.
I've got one. For Public Works, I noticed up there in Somerville Place, the same person called about flooding in the village, flooding in their yard and mosquitoes and all. What was the issue on that? Do you know, Angel? Was it right after that 5-inch rain that we had that Sunday?
Yes, sir, it is. And I believe it's an area up there where Lee County has a pipe going into the ditch, and the ditch has become overgrown. And Public Works, we are in the process of scheduling to get that ditch cleaned out. That will help with some of the problem, but some of the problem is just a low-lying area, and it just holds water. But we are aware of it, and we are trying to get that. Unfortunately, everything's been backed up, you know, trying to get people on board and trying to get, you know, workers out there to finish all the projects. But that is still on our list.
That was basically, this complaint came in after we had that real heavy rain for that Sunday.
Yes,
Which
sir.
is very abnormal for that amount of rain to fall. So you're going to have more water than you normally would have. But I'm assuming both complaints from the same person would deal with the same situation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll go by there and talk to him, explain what we do.
Well, we've told them that what we're going to do is not going to solve the problem. It may help alleviate some of it. So.
Right. Well, that's all you can do. I mean, if you buy a house and, you know, at the bottom of a hill, you know, water goes to the bottom of the hill, nothing you can do about that. And if you buy a house next to a creek, you know, I got a creek in my backyard, there's going to be extra water in there sometime, and sometime it'll be dry. There's nobody's fault. The creek was there when I built that. So, and when I bought the house. So, I mean, it ain't like, you know, we developed something different, but I do like to talk to the people and explain to them, you know, we'll do all we can, but that, you know, when it's that situation, it is that situation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Any other questions, council?
Yes, sir. I have one more, Mayor. On this past weekend, matter of fact, I have a member of my church live out there behind Wendy, and they came out straight to me like I can do something about it. They had a 3-car accident out there on Highway 80, and they want to know why aren't we patrolling that area out there. I like to ask our chief something. Is that in our Phenix City Police jurisdiction out that way?
Some of them.
You talking about Highway 80?
Yeah, how far did we go down past Winn-Dixie?
Yes, we go out to All American Drive, all the way out there.
So if anything happened out there on both sides of the road, I thought the county on one side, we on the other side. But if anything happened in that police jurisdiction, we are to investigate. Is that right?
We patrol and work accidents all the way out Highway 80 to All American Drive, and we go down Woodland Drive to Bay Avenue. So yes, sir, we cover probably 90% of Ladonia is in our PJ.
Well, I told that lady that we can't be every time there's an accident at the time of the accident. You know, that's the only thing I can tell. I told her that, rather. One other question, Chief. I got a lot of negative feedback. I'm going to tell it just like it is. In South Phoenix City about the shooting and killing down there. And I told these individuals, several of them contacted me. There's nothing we could do about that because we can't be down there every time something happens. And they want to know why we are not patrolling that area down there like we should. I said, how do you know we are not? You know, I just want to share that little bit out there with all of us.
Okay, thank you all.
So Chief, what you think can be done about that? Nothing? We just patrol it a little bit more? What do you think?
Well, as you saw in the report, we made 167 arrests, and probably 50% of those were in South Phoenix City. So I don't know what you want us to tell them.
Yeah. Well, just do the best you can. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you all so much. We're going to proceed on. And since it's 3:50, I think we can go ahead and get into the agenda, if that's okay with the council.
That's right.
We hadn't gone an hour, so we'll go ahead and proceed on with the preparation for the council meeting tomorrow and with this agenda. And again, council, let me say this. If you have any questions as we go through this, let's try to ask those questions now just for the sake of time. And we got all the team here except Mr. Hunter, so we would certainly get you the answer, or they will certainly get you the answer. So on tomorrow, May 5th at 9 o'clock, this is the first meeting of the month. Of course, we will be doing it the way we're doing it now through Zoom. We'll call the meeting to order, and after that, I will ask Councilwoman Johnson to lead us with the invocation as well as the pledge. And as you see, we do not have any presentations or proclamations, so we will proceed on under the city clerk. And I will ask for a motion for the approval of the scheduled meeting minutes for the April the 20th, 2020 work session, as well as April the 21st council meeting. And if it's the pleasure of the council, since all were there, we would take that in one vote. Okay, is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah, let me just ask Mayor, when we approve that, just so that we can be specific here, should it read approval of regularly scheduled meeting minutes via Zoom?
Bill.
So that we will know that. I mean, of course, the date, but just to kind of be.
Not since we've already set the precedence. I mean, everybody knows that.
Okay.
It is through Zoom. So since now, maybe we should have done that in the beginning, but I think we in compliance as far as federal laws. As far as meeting and also acting upon those meeting with a motion and a second. So,
okay.
All right.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I can just say this, Councilmember Johnson, we do reference the Zoom video conferencing in the actual minutes, even if it's not referenced on the agenda.
Okay. Okay. I did see that. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, proceeding on the sitting council. At that time, council, if there's any unfinished business between here and there, that would be the place to where we would discuss it. And then we will proceed on with the resolutions. And the first one is a public hearing and resolution in reference to making applications to the Bureau of Justice Assistance for Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program FY 2020. Fiscal year 2020 formula grant for financial assistance for the police department. And what I will do, council, I will call for a public hearing in reference to this by phone. We will do it that way. Councilwoman Johnson, as well as the rest of the council. And I will put the phone number here to the office that I'm in, and I will put it on the speakerphone. And hopefully, I think we will all be able to hear it if we do have someone to step forward at this public hearing. So again,
well, Mayor, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So go ahead, Arthur.
Now I'm going to ask you, how long were you going to allow the vacancy for the public hearing phone call? It's going to be 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes? About 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, you know, we've never done any minutes. If no one steps up, we give it a few minutes, and if no one, when we are meeting, steps up, then at that time I close it out. So I think it'll be similar to the same thing to see if anyone would call in. And
okay.
if they are watching us by Zoom or live, it should be around the same amount of time that we've had in the past.
Okay, great, thanks.
But we will have it on the phone. I will give them this number here at this office, and I will put it on speakerphone for the sake of everyone who's on the council. Okay?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Also, in the advertisement, that phone number has also been advertised, but even if they don't call in during the public hearing, those comments do remain open until the 29th of May. So we encourage that anybody that has any input on that grant, even if they don't call during the public hearing, that they call my office anytime between now and May 29th and offer any suggestions that they may have. We'll have 3 agenda items coming up later under the police department that is specifically addressed from the funding that we're expected to get from the coronavirus emergency supplemental funding program. So those will be the first items that we'll have out there for that particular grant. So just for those listening in, if they have questions about those next 3 items under the police department when we get to them.
And I guess I could also mention that, but in the event that I forget it, Chief Smith, feel free to chime in, okay? Because we do want to be transparent as we have done and has always done.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, council. Seeing after that, after the reading of the resolution, I will ask for a motion and a second for approval. Any
Yes,
questions
sir.
or discussion? Again, after I will call for a public hearing after Mrs. Lee read it, and then we'll do that, and I'll close it out. And then after that, if no one steps forward, we will call for the motion in a second. Okay?
Okay.
All minds clear. Proceeding on administration is a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and the city manager to enter into an agreement with Lee County Commission acting on behalf of Lee County for the development of subdivision within the territorial jurisdiction of Municipal Planning Commission. I will ask the clerk to read that, and this is the one that Angel just went over, and you talked about it at the last council meeting. So after the reading of that, council, I will ask for a motion and a second. Okay? Any questions, comments, or discussion now? Okay. Then on the administrations, there's a resolution in reference to allowing a nonprofit food bank beyond expectation community outreach to operate at 1101 First Place South in an R2 medium density residential zone for a period not to exceed 6 months during the COVID-19 recovery. I will ask Mrs. Lee to read that, and I will tell you this is the reason why the 6 months is in there. As you see, it's in an R2 zone, but a lot of the language that has been used in that resolution is from the governor's office and based on the, I always say, mission critical environment that we're in as far as people are not working, as far as people needing food. This is a way that we can help with food and given to people who are in need of that. Any questions, comments, or discussion on that?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I 1101 First Place South. Where exactly is that, Mayor?
It is behind Greater Mount Zion Baptist Church, and in fact, Greater Mount Zion owns this house, and they have given it to this organization to help food, to help pass out food to people that are in needs that are not working.
Yeah, I know where it is now. Thanks.
Yeah, they are not charging any rent or ain't getting any income off of it. It is just a need based on, as I stated, the mission criticalness that we're dealing with people that are not working and need food. And
That's
again,
great.
and Gil, correct me if I'm wrong, this is within 6 months, they will have to decide whether they want to change it to commercial or not. That's why the 6 months are there. Am I correct?
That is
Gil?
correct. Right now, they're going to fill a need for the COVID-19.
Exactly.
And then that'll give them time to figure out if they want to continue it on, they need to either rezone it to commercial property or find a commercial piece of property to utilize.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Proceeding on next on the Police Department Council is a resolution in reference to authorizing and directing the mayor, the city manager, and chief of police to sign a contract agreement with Carfax to subscribe to Carfax Investigation 2. So we'll have Mrs. Lee read that, and after the reading of that, we will ask for a motion and a second. So, council, are there any questions or discussion?
Yes, sir. Mayor, I looked at that and I guess A and B is has something to do with it. With Chief, would you elaborate on that for us for just a little bit? And that help. I know it helped in your officer doing their job.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mayor and Council, A, B, and C are all interrelated, as you probably noticed when you read all those three. What Carfax will do is it'll give us access to databases over and above the state database. The state database, of course, just gives you tag registration information, those kinds of things. What Carfax does is they take crash reports, body shop reports, car maintenance repair shops, car dealerships, you name it, anything that has to do with the car. And of course, all those things are then input into a database. That helps us track stolen property easier, helps us track stolen cars, as well as being able to know when vehicles have been involved in accidents, when they've been stripped and other parts utilized and those kinds of things. The state databases are just not equipped to track that kind of information and data. So what this agreement will do is it'll allow us to share our information, share our data with Carfax, and at the same time then gain access to all those investigative tools that are available from Carfax. Of course, Carfax then makes money by selling those accident reports to people when you go out and try to do an investigation on a vehicle and you want to find out if that vehicle's involved in an accident. Anybody that's ever bought a Carfax report are familiar with those kind of tools that are available to the public. You can then purchase a report to tell you what incidents that car has been involved with, whether it be a traffic accident or repair, those kinds of things. So it's quite a useful tool, not just for the police department, but also for the public. And just to go ahead and cover B and C, what CopLogic interface is that currently our software program that we utilize in the police department has an interface, and this interface will allow us to publish a online reporting module. And so people that have issues or need to make a report, instead of them having to call a police officer out, then they can make those reports online. And those online reports then are populated into our software system, where officers are then assigned to investigate and bring resolution to those reports. This is a one-time cost. This $8,782 will be a one-time cost for the software to install it, and then there of course will be a yearly maintenance fee. We're planning on using the coronavirus software grant funding to help pay for that, as well as some of the ongoing support that will include that. But this will be something that we'll use even after this pandemic. It'll be very efficient for people. A lot of times people are victims of crimes in our city who don't live here, and whether them having to come back to file a report, they can now would be able to file them online using this interface. The last one is through LexisNexis. And what LexisNexis is another company that sells police reports through the internet. Again, many people who have accidents don't live in Phenix City. They may be passing through from Atlanta or from the beach and had an accident. And instead of having to come back and see us to get a copy of that report, then they can order that through LexisNexis. As a matter of fact, when LexisNexis did the numbers at our department, as Arthur alluded to earlier today, we have quite a number of accidents. We average about almost 3,000 accidents per year in our jurisdiction. That's about 7 or 8 per day. Well, those 7 or 8 per day, again, 50% of those don't live locally. They live out of town, and then insurance companies are the ones that have to go and get those reports. Well, insurance companies call us, LexisNexis calls us, we then sell the report to LexisNexis, then LexisNexis then, of course, sells it to the insurance company. So what this does is it takes out the middleman. What we'll do is we'll contract directly with LexisNexis, and then we'll sell our reports through LexisNexis, and then they will in turn then give us a percentage of those reports. One good thing about this is it doesn't increase the cost for insurance companies. Insurance companies are already paying $15 for a copy of a report, but it still allows local citizens to still maintain that very nominal $2 fee to get it locally. So if you're able to get it locally, it doesn't affect you. You can still come to the department and get it for $2. But if the insurance companies are obtaining it through the LexisNexis database, of course, that would be a $15 fee, and then the city would actually benefit with that fee. That service and that contract would cost us about $13,000 a year, but based on the number of reports that we sold last year, we'd actually probably net about $4,000 in addition to the fees that we already sell. So this would be a wash. It would actually be a money maker in order to pay for the system, as well as making it much more easy for people that don't live here to be able to get documentation online of what they need, whether it be an accident report or an incident offense report, those kinds of things.
Chief, let me ask you one other thing. I know this going to cost about $8,782. Is the sheriff department going to play a part in this? How did they going to have some percentage of this? Are we going to affiliate? They're going to affiliate with the city on this?
No, sir. Even though the Spillman database system that we utilize is shared with the county, this is a department-specific software. We will pay for this specific for the reports that we utilize in the police department. Now, the sheriff's department would have access to those reports if they needed them, but they would have to.
Would they have to pay also?
They would have to buy their own interface if they wanted to do the similar kind of thing.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And again, pertaining to
Mayor, can I interrupt you here? That was some good information, important information that the chief gave us today. Can he elaborate on that for the citizen tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
I'll take care of it. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, again, council, pertaining to A on the police department. After the reading of that resolution, we will ask for a motion and a second. Okay? And then,
Can I ask, Mayor, what's the
Yes,
cost
sir.
of the Carfax? Is there a cost to it?
No, sir. The Carfax is
No.
Again, that's
Not
a
what I've
service
seen.
that, as long as we agree to share our database with them, then they'll agree to share their database with us. So that one's kind of a wash. It's a mutual agreement between us and them.
It's a good system. I use it over here at the lot
Yes,
for
sir.
buying cars and selling cars, and also it's very well maintained, very well taken care of, and all the citizens around here recognize Carfax. So that'll be something that'll be very helpful to us. And but I'm just concerned what the cost might be.
no, the only costs come on the B, which we're about to go over. And as Chief has mentioned, there is a maintenance fee with that one, but the first year, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, I recall when I read it, the first year, there's no maintenance fee.
Correct.
That
The
kicks
first year
in
is no
on the
maintenance.
second
Will kick in on the second year. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Correct.
So with that, on the B, council is a resolution in reference to authorizing and directing the mayor, city manager, and the chief of police to sign a contract agreement with Spillman CopLogic Interface for an online reporting system in an amount not to exceed $8,782, which the chief just explained. So with that said, council, I will ask clerk to read that resolution, and we will ask for a motion in a second. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Proceeding on the police department C is a resolution in reference to authorizing and directing the mayor, city manager, and chief of police to enter into an agreement with LexisNexis for an online desktop reporting system. And as chief has explained that, that's through the internet. And after the reading of that by our clerk, Mrs. Lee, I will ask for a motion and a second. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Proceeding on the utilities department. On the A is a resolution in reference to the municipal water pollution prevention, MWPP 2019 annual report. We'll ask Mrs. Lee to read that, and we saw how much the cost is and what the yearly cost would be, but it's something that we have to do to stay in compliance. So after the reading of that resolution, we will ask for a motion of a second. And are there any questions or comments or discussion? Okay. Proceeding on the B is a resolution in reference to accepting a proposal from American Tank Maintenance and authorizing the mayor, city manager to enter into an agreement for professional tank maintenance services. I will ask Mrs. Lee to read that, and we will ask for a motion and a second on that. We see the cost of that. I just want to thank Steve and the utility department for having foresight to look out in front of this. And the good thing about this is that 0 interest. That's hard to beat.
That's good.
0% interest. So
Almost
any
$2
questions,
million.
comments, or discussion, council?
Excuse me, almost $2 million worth of work that they're going to finance over an 8-year period for us at 0% interest as part of this. And then they will then take over the maintenance of these tanks every 2 years. They'll come in, flush and clean the tanks, disinfect the insides of them. If you look at the overall cost versus us bidding it out and having it done and paying the debt service on it, we'll save about $500,000 over the life of this contract. So it's a good contract for our citizens, and it's a good contract for the utility division and helping keep our tanks maintained well.
And
How long
also,
is
I think it would be it'll be spot on as far as making sure maintenance is done at the appropriate time, and that's be one less thing you have to worry about keeping up with, because we all know this affect our compliancy with ADEM. So, I mean, with them automatically keeping up with the responsibility of maintenance, those I think is a win-win for us. And plus the 0% interest, you can't beat that.
Mr. Smith, according to looking at the stuff on it, it looked like we really had needed to have done this for the last several years. How far back should we have done this?
We're about 3 years behind schedule in getting 2 of those tanks done. The 2 tanks up at Glenwood, and we're like I said, almost 3 years behind schedule in getting those tanks. It's just been a funding issue of the cost of them done. It's about a $350,000 to $400,000 project to redo one of these tanks each time. But it's like I said, we are a little bit behind on getting those 2 tanks. And then once we get this contract in place, within 2 years, we'll be fully caught up on all of the rehabilitation of all of our tanks. And then we'll be on a steady schedule there for long term to keep them that way.
Yes, the mayor said we'll be caught up. Yeah, and then we'll be on a maintenance schedule that can keep them that way.
Yes, sir.
That's
Hey,
good. I
Steve.
appreciate you doing that.
Steve,
Yes.
somehow the tanks is in worse shape than the other. Is that right?
Yes, the 2 tanks at Glenwood are probably in the worst shape. It's like I said, we're a little bit behind in getting into them. They need to be sandblasted and stripped down to the metal and repainted. There's a little bit of rust issue in the top that are going to have to be fixed. And as part of this, they're going to install security screens on the ladder in the top.
Yeah.
To keep, anyone from being able to access those tanks except city personnel and our maintenance people.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question because I just drove up to the one down on South Phoenix City on the hill up there, and it looked pretty rough.
And it's time for them to be stripped and repainted.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith, can you please identify the location of the raw tank number 1 and 2?
All right, the raw water tanks are at our water filtration plant.
Okay.
That's where we pump the water up out of the river, and those 2 tanks are storage tanks. They're each 2 million gallon tanks, and they're there to store water for emergency use in case we have a problem with our pumps down in the river, or if we have a major fire in the city or something that would cause us to have additional water draw down on an emergency basis.
Yes, sir. Okay. 4 million.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Next, proceeding on the Utilities Department is a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and the city manager to accept a work order from Peoples and Quigley Incorporation for professional engineering services for the 2020 AEMA grant in an amount not to exceed $8,500. Mrs. Lee. I'm sorry.
We're not at the meeting tomorrow now.
Yeah, I had a brain cramp there. I will ask.
I have them all the time.
Yeah, you and I both. I will ask Mrs. Lee to read that resolution, and we will ask for a second and a motion on it. Any questions, comments, or discussion, council?
One question. Do any of our lift stations have this capability already?
Yes, sir. Some of our major lift stations already have it, and the 2 new ones have it. But we've got a lot of older stations that really need backup generators, and this will give us an opportunity, working through this company, to get some grants to give us some new generating capacity at some of these lift stations.
Okay. The ones that we already have this capability on, will they be part? I mean, they'll be part of it, I'm sure, once we get the money and do all of them, but they won't need to be updated or anything right now. Just say 31 of them would be, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's just the ones, and every station doesn't need an emergency. We've got some several little very, very small lift stations that we can manually handle if we have to.
Okay.
Mostly we've got about a dozen larger lift stations that really, would beneficial to us to have generating capacity. So when the electricity goes down, because we don't really have the capability of pumping those down on a long-term basis. And having that generator in place just gives us an extra measure of security for our citizens.
Correct. All right. Thank you. That's all I have on that.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, council, proceeding on the ordinance. On the first one is a public notice and first reading. It's an ordinance to exempt certain items from the municipal sale and use tax during the third full weekend of July 2020, referred to as the back to school sales tax holiday. This is the first reading. We'll ask Mrs. Lee to read the first reading, and we'll ask for a motion and a second to place ordinance on first reading. This is typical. We do this every year. I would think the only thing differently now is whether school would be able to start this fall or not, but this will still be out there because school will start at some point. So we'll ask for a motion and a second on that. Okay? Any questions, comments, or discussion, council? All right, next on the ordinance is a public notice and ordinance to amend the code of ordinances for the city of Phenix City, Alabama, Appendix A, zoning, Article 6, regulations applying to all and several districts, Section 19, signs and outdoor advertising, add political signs. First reading, we'll ask the clerk to read this first reading. At that time, we'll ask for a motion to approve of the public notice. Then we'll ask for a motion to place ordinance on first reading, and then we'll ask for a motion all together in one vote. Okay? We'll do them all in one vote. Is that okay, council?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. So Jimmy, you must be living right. We don't have any claims.
No, sir. Melanie must be hiding them in her desk drawer.
Well, it's always good to have that, but we understand the business side of it too, and we're realists. So council, is anything else? But I would like to mention this to the council. On Friday, I got a call from Friday evening when I was at home. I got a call from Frankie Mitchell about having Glenwood's graduation in that stadium. So what I immediately did, I told him, I said, now, Mr. Mitchell, I said, now, we're under the order of the governor and we have to comply with that. He goes on to tell me that he had talked to certain legislature, Chris Blackshear being one. And I said, okay, well, I'll call Chris and, get everything. So I did call Chris and shared it with him. He concurred that, we need to wait to a certain degree of what the governor says, but he did say that he was going to find out today on whether they can or not. So he did email back and stated that in the order by the governor. Now, maybe I interpreted wrong, but it did say something about this occasion and keeping it under control. But I thought it more so it was talking about public schools than private schools, but nevertheless, that doesn't matter. So what I did after talking with him and I talked to the city manager, and I called Frankie Mitchell back this morning, and I told him, I said, we're not going to tell you yay or nay because we don't want to tell you yay or nay. And if we tell you yes and something happened, that the city is liable. The only thing I would say after talking to Mr. Blackshear and seeing the article that came down this morning, I said, we're not going to tell you not to do it, and we're not going to tell you to do it. But the burden falls upon you all if something happens. So he agreed with that. And the other thing, too, that I think would make it much more pleasurable is that they're going to have it on the football field and still be in compliance as far as that distance. So I did wanted to share that with the entire council, just in case you get asked something. Because, again, I didn't want to put the city in a position of saying yes and, maybe potentially have some type of liability if something happens. Not saying something will happen, but we have to think that way and being the council of protecting the city as much as we can. So I did share that with you all. I wanted to, He did not tell me what he was going to do. I did share with him why I was stating we're not going to tell you yay or nay. Whatever decision you decide, that's up to you. But we don't want to put the city in a position where we can be liable if you did decide to do it and, you know, something happened as far as someone catching the COVID-19. Okay? Any questions on that or comments? All right. So
I've got a comment on, if I can, Mayor. Touch on something Ms. Johnson touched on earlier. Everybody's aware that I've always been interested in possibly city council having, you know, some type of health insurance coverage. And I know the same thing that Ms. Johnson spoke about, and I'll make it real quick, that we had passed our, say, grace period of this year of being able to do anything for the next council. But with that said, with Jimmy sitting there, if she gets back information that just say half the cities in the state of Alabama have this available for their council members, and we did decide to move forward with it as a council, we could still move forward with it. I'm assuming vote on it, yay or nay, and if it passed, it just would not be for the next council. It would be 4.5 years out from now. Is that correct?
Jimmy, is that
That's correct. Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, well that was my question. Like I said, that's just been something I've been concerned with ever since I got on the council. That I just feel like, you know, the council, I know it's part-time, they pay us well, but there could be some young people that eventually get on this council, and it'd be nice to have young people on here one day that could have a need for it. Old folks like me don't have a need for it anymore, but some of the young people would, and ever how that would work out, that they had to pay 100% of their part of it after they get paid or whatever, that could be worked out. But I'm curious of what Ms. Johnson said. I'd like to know how many cities and counties, you know, possibly have this available for the people on their council. So I'm hoping that she gets back a good report on that, that the majority have this available, and maybe we can move forward with this before we go out of office this time. And like I said, maybe somewhere down the line it'll be set up for someone to be able to use it and have, you know, good luck with it and put other people on the council at some time. So I appreciate her doing what she's done on checking into that.
You're welcome.
Mayor, I have a question. I have a question. I thought about it and I just forgot it. And the question that I was asking earlier, how are we coming with the project down there at the city, at the police department? How's that project coming?
What project, Arthur?
The project down there at the police, at the council chamber, at the building.
Municipal building?
Yes.
Excuse me?
The building where you have the meeting at.
Yes, public safety building.
The public safety building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, right now we've, I think Mike Bauer met with the contractor last week. Was it Mike, about looking at finalizing the plans? Those plans have been partly reviewed by the building department, partly by the fire department. They have not finalized those plans yet, but as soon as they do, we'll be looking to try to set up. We were expected to have a bid already, but because of the pandemic, we have put that off. So we're waiting on to get the all clear from the governor before we have the actual bid opening or the bid advertisement. But that's where we kind of are right now. The plans are about 90% done. They're just doing some final touches on all of them. So we're still a couple months out.
All right, thank you. One other question I have too, on the 175 room conference center, on the conference center. How's that project coming?
We're still working on that, Mr. Day. It's as we have, you know, repeatedly said, you know, this is a very long-term project. We did meet with our potential partners, engineering people last week as a group, as a staff. The city manager and I and the city department heads met with them, and they're still in the process of doing their due diligence on the property and towards where we get the hotel, and then we're in discussions with them for some additional economic development that we can't really announce just yet, but we're working very diligent with them. But again, this is a very long-term project.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be months and months in the making.
Years worth. Okay, my last question is this. I guess I'm not going to sing out anybody, but down there at the on 431 Shopping Center, Renfro grocery store, in that area, we have a lot of business coming down in that area. Is there any way we could get an ATM machine down there, or what do we have to do to get an ATM machine down there?
That's going to be the decision of a financial institution, Walter.
Right.
Arthur. And what they're going to do, just like the state is doing, is to get a traffic study count to see. And I will tell you that a lot of ATMs has been removed because a lot of times that's why they're going to do this. They wouldn't do the study because sometimes it's not a money maker for the institutions. And of course, if it's not making any money, they're not going to invest in it. But, you know, they would do a study based on the density and of course, with the people traveling on that road, it would possibly have a good chance of having one because it would create a lot of interchange income because a lot of people pass through there that are not from this community.
Okay, that's it.
Commercial development, you'll have a lot better numbers. And that's, I would think that's when the financial institutions will start looking at that area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mayor, can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if everyone realized it, but we sent out a public notice. On Wednesday, we will be closing a portion of South Railroad Street. We have a drainage pipe failure there. The contractor is going to come in. It'll be in between Stadium Drive and the bypass, so that section will be closed. It could be down for 1 to 2 weeks, depending on what we get in once we find out what we're working with. But it's a deep pipe, but it needs to be replaced. We're having some issues there. And we will have a detour set up. It will be specifically labeled as South Railroad Street Detour because we have a detour also set up for Opelika Road Bridge project. So I just want to make sure everyone knows comes Wednesday morning, that road will be closed.
Okay. Thank you, Hank.
Is that where the creek runs up under the South Railroad Street, where you get when you're coming from, say, Phenix City Middle School, headed towards
Stadium.
Well, when you're headed up towards Walmart direction from Stadium Drive.
Yes, sir. That's where it's at.
Okay. All right.
Hey, and are you
Yes,
going to
sir.
be able to make that the announcement on tomorrow as well?
Yes, sir. I hope so. And I'll remind y'all if I need to at the end, but I think it needs to be put out there for everybody to hear.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Jimmy, were you about to say something? Jimmy.
Graham?
Hey, Jimmy, Graham. Were you about
Hear
to
me?
say something earlier?
Yeah, we can now.
Yes, sir. What I wanted to say was, any action we take on the insurance for mayor and council needs to be done after this coming election. That way, if there be any confusion, we can do it the first meeting in the first month after the election, and then it will go into effect when the next election's held.
Okay.
Can I ask you something on that? What if what if the next council's not interested in doing that for the future? How does that hold?
No, if the council totally changes, you don't go out of office till November.
Yeah, November.
So you,
yeah.
Okay.
I follow your train of thought now. I was thinking the election and coming in office and going out of office at the same time, but it's not until the end of October. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's in August, and we could do it the first meeting in September.
Right. You're exactly right. Yes. That makes perfect sense. You know, if the council's interested in that, that's everybody's got their own opinion. That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thanks, Jimmy. Council, at this time, I'd like to call for an executive session for good name and character. And I'm thinking it would take less than 30 minutes. However, we would like to ask for a motion and a second for that. And the person who needs to stay on this executive session is, of course, Stephen Smith. We need to have Angel, Chief Smith. Is John Spraggin out there, Steve?
He's on, but you can't hear him. I don't
No,
believe.
he's on
Okay.
vacation today.
All right, he's out.
Okay.
But,
And do we need to have Gil?
no, I don't believe so. I think the ones you've named is just what we need.
Okay, so did everyone hear their names?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, y'all want me to stay on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you automatically.
Absolutely, Jimmy.
Okay.
You always automatically, but
I'm-
I still
Okay.
should mention your name. So those person, along with Melanie, and so with that, if everyone could chime off again, those person is Steve Smith, Angel Moore, as well as Chief Smith, and of course the attorney Jimmy Grant. Is that everybody, Steve?
Yes, that's all.
Along
we'll
with the
need.
rest of the council. We
Michael
don't need
took care
anyone
of,
else.
Getting everybody off for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
is the meeting adjourned? I'll kick everything.
No,
We'll adjourn after the
We're
executive
gonna
session.
adjourn afterwards.
Look, let me get everybody off real quick.
All right, just let me know, including yourself. You're the last one
Yeah.
voice I should hear saying that everyone has gotten off and you're signing off. Okay?
We need to make a motion to.
Yes, ma'am.
You got a motion.
Yeah, I am, but I was just telling Mike that. You got that, Mike?
Yes, I need to sign off.
Yeah, get everybody off except the council and those person we mentioned, and then you would be the last one to sign off. But let us know that. But before that, I'd like to call for a motion for us to go in executive session for good name and character for 30 minutes. Is that the most, Steve?
That should be enough. Yes, sir.
Okay, for 30 minutes. And we will come out before 30 minutes and we will adjourn the meeting at that time.
May I
Okay,
also
so-
have a motion at this time?
Got a motion from Councilman Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
All right. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
That sound like I heard everyone. No one opposed. So Melanie, you have that motion and second and unanimously. So with that, Mike, you can start doing your thing.